talking about preserving a student's voice during sessions, it's also important that a tutor preserves his or her own voice as well, which comes down to establishing a style that he or she's comfortable with. So not every tutor is the same, nor should every tutor be the same. In fact, it's really beneficial if they're actually widely different, so that if a student does come in with the same assignment even to see different tutors, then they're getting very different kinds of feedback. Light snowfall, then, where you kind of have to settle in, get comfortable, kind of warm up for a little bit. But then after it's very gentle, and you kind of sit back and notice that it's quite nice.
Like really organized and stuff. Mine is like, I'm still developing it. It's like pubescent. It's like, if it was a person, it would be a teenager, still trying to figure out what they want to do. And I am a teenager, so it's just like, wow. I guess I'm still figuring out how to find my voice as a tutor. I'm still, like I said earlier, I'm still thinking about what's the most efficient way to teach, and a certain amount of time. And yeah, I'm kind of just all over the place. I'm still like, I'm like seeing new ideas, and I'm just like grasping them and like trying to like slap them onto my mind and see like how I can incorporate that or in my own way. Cause like I don't think anybody can do something or emulate something perfectly unless like they're not. My tutoring style would be like a monsoon. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
I'm kind of like really erratic, and I think I'm like all over the place. But I mean, there's stuff being thrown around, and stuff is getting somewhere, I think, or stuff is hitting something. Stuff is hitting stuff, and I'm not hitting the target like on point like Sean is, but I'm like hitting it and like everything else around it. So I'm still trying to figure out like how to get to the tippy top point of the target. So yeah, my tutoring style is very pubescent and awkward, but it's filled with love until I get tired, and then I'm just like, okay.
It's kind of hard to like tell students that when they've been taught to like write differently than from what they think. Like, because I mean, I think like you're right. Like when a teacher tells you to like now, how was it that you said, like to now?
Right, like you speak?
Yeah, like you're kind of limiting like what a person is like trying to say. So and sometimes that makes it harder for students to write about stuff. It's hard to, like, for example, when students want to have like a thesis statement or they want to make a topic sentence, like sometimes they'll come and like their teacher will tell them that it's wrong, but usually like they don't tell them why, and that's when they come to us. And so what happens is like it is hard sometimes to like explain what a thesis statement is or what a topic sentence is.
They're kind of see where you are in terms of how much you have.
And like sometimes like yeah, like I just feel like writing it down for them, but then it's like I'm doing the writing and they're not.
Yeah.
Kind of like my own thought and not theirs. So I'm taking that away from them.
Friends that are actually like intelligent, but maybe they talk in like I wouldn't say a street lingo, but like when they're talking to their friends, you know, we have certain ways we speak. Like we'll say something like, "Oh yeah, the other day I seen this movie. Like I seen Friday After the Next," and teachers are always like, "No, you saw this movie." They're trying to correct them to make it seem as though like they may not be intelligent or they don't know how to speak properly. Or when they're trying to express their emotions, they might, you know, get all into it, and you're always taught to be calm, and that's how you get people's attention, by being calm. And sometimes it is, but sometimes it isn't. Sometimes you need to let people know, like, this is how I feel, this is how I'm gonna say it. It's respectful. I mean, if you can't respect it, I guess, then maybe you don't deserve to have my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So
I get told, you're passionate.
yeah, like.
And it's an insult. They don't mean it as a compliment.
Exactly.
I'm like,
sometimes when people tell you you're passionate about things, they almost say it as an insult, but. That's actually a good point, man. That's I noticed that, but I never really thought it. I don't think I ever truly tried to write just only to the teacher before. I wrote as though like I was how I wanted to hear. Like I try to write like on myself. That's a good thing. I never really thought about that. Unless it's like maybe a quick little 5 sentences, I guess. there's times where you're probably just trying to write to your teacher, so it should be like, okay, this is good, check it off, and get the point to it. Yeah, don't just write to your teachers, man. Write like you're just speaking to a friend or somebody who actually cares about what you have to say. That's how I try to do it, at least.
Yeah.
It's okay to throw in big words, though.
My writing, I can keep writing. Like, I have no problem in writing. Like,
Yeah.
I can express my feeling. Like, I don't have to stutter or anything. I just keep on writing and just keep on going.
Yeah.
But with my speaking voice, I get scared. I don't know. Like, sometimes the thing comes out of my head and I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
But in writing, I just can keep going on and on and on about things. But when I have to speak,
Yeah.
like, general, I lack some words, or I don't know like what to think. I don't know what comes out of my head. It's like it's all over the place. In my writing, I can keep I think about it and then I can keep going on, and I know like I just know like my writing voice is better than it's just my speaking voice is like sometimes like see I have to think about it like I don't know what to say. And then I'm like, oh, it's not what I want to say.
Yeah.
But in my writing, it's like I can think about it, and then I can keep writing, and then I can just keep adding to it. In my speaking voice, I feel like I can't do that. I guess it could be that because I feel like I'm not really fluent in English, so I don't like to use my speaking voice.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I hear my voice, but I feel like I'm not saying things the right way, and I don't know how people hear me, so I don't usually use my speaking voice. I usually express my voice in writing instead of just speaking.
You can relate to a subject that makes writing a lot easier, but if you can't, it's kind of like a more of a research type thing. It's just like, that's what people don't like, because you got to research it, you have to know it, you have guidelines to how you're going to write about it and talk about it. People just don't like it, because it's not a voice, it's just copy-paste.
I think guidelines can completely change a paper. Like, it's not who the person truly is, it's what the teacher wants the paper to be.
But if you could pick your own topic on a research problem, it'd probably be a lot more interesting as well for yourself, because you'd be like, well, I found this, this, and this, and this, and it intrigued me because I think this, this, and that, but it caused my view to turn to this. It's like, I saw a lot of that in philosophy. Like, that's where I was like, oh, thinking is just mind-blowing. Like how she says she heard her friend tell her, like, don't use your own voice. Like, I can't say I haven't heard that specific, I haven't heard that really from a teacher or something. I've heard, have a writer's voice, you know, have your voice in the way you talk and the way you slang or whatever. Then you have your professional voice where it's like, you speak this way on writing and in paper to sound presentable. It's like, that's the way to inform people. But if you have a different way of informing people, if you use your own slang, your own terminology, the vocab you want, and not get graded on the lack of vocab you have, that's not like advanced, you know, college level material vocab, it's like, it'd be a lot easier. You'd be like, you know, as long as it's not confusing, I think your essays could be pretty simple.
I hate getting essays that have to do with a certain topic, and it's not something I get to pick with or have creativity writing about. Because in that, it's like I have to follow a prompt and I have to follow the whole structure of it rather than like free flowing going with it. So I mean, but as a writer though, I end up watching a lot of shows, movies, a lot of anime, because it's just like they're all ideas, but it's all a lot of imagination that gets put into it. But then also in the midst of watching those, they either have some life lesson or they have something they say, and it's like one of those things that you think on, and it's just like it hits you, and it's just like, oh. But then at the same time though, like my imagination runs wild because like I'm watching all like these like written out like themes that are happening, and then they have these one moment that either makes you really sad or really hyped up, and like it whole fluctuates, and that's kind of hits me in my imagination. So, and then whenever I'm writing, I can use like what I saw, or like the emotion or whatever, like it just comes to me. So it's like whatever I see, it comes into me. Very little, or I mean, it just comes and goes. Really, my voice, my thoughts, anything that I'm thinking about, everything I tend to think about is practically emotional. It just, I mean, it's not something I asked to be like created by or made, but it's just a happiness thing I experienced as a kid. So I mean, it just stuck with me. I mean, old habits are hard to kill, but then again, I like to be grateful that I have it, because then when I go to write something, I have it as a background and I can use it as fuel. So I mean, my imagination, the spark, my emotion, the fire, So I mean, or the light or lighter or whatever you want to say it, but yeah, it just helps create it. Their imagination's been shut out, or I mean, they've had no way to connecting with it, or their family background and they shun it. They just want more, I don't know how to say, maybe just more core focused kids, no imagination, just like actual like zombie practically. But I mean, it's hard to get people to get their inner
Trying
self
to like
out.
make it more formal, but like I just don't feel like that's not me.
Yeah,
you're not being yourself.
Like, give us like guidelines and stuff, but let us have like our own like personality in our writing, and just let us be free, free our mind and stuff. Like that's what when I write, that's what makes me feel like good. Like I start typing and I keep typing and typing and typing and typing. When I feel like I'm being myself, and when I feel challenged, I'm stuck.
Right? Like just don't even think about it. Just whatever comes like in mind, just write. And
then afterwards,
yeah.
you can come back and
Or
like, oh, okay, I'll change this, or I'll critique this, and
I'll change it to like a formal way, like.
But once you've said what that just comes out, like you just keep typing and typing and typing, leave it. And then when you're done, come back and reread it, and then just be like, okay, I can change this. Okay, this needs to be fixed a little, I'll fix
Or I
that.
can say it
But your
differently.
words are still there.
He was great. Like he would give us about like how you do it with the journal, like just relax, like just let your mind control. Like he was all about that. Just like you use your mind and you just do it. Don't follow. Do this, do that, do this. You know, just to like let go and control and just write with your thoughts. I've been told, like I go on and on. I have no direction. I just learning stuff like that. And since I took AP for 2 years, my junior year and senior year for high school, I was disciplined to follow this certain outline. Do this, do that, do this. And it was really hard because I'm very when I write, I'm kind of sarcastic in a way, and I tend to like use metaphors a lot. So it's hard for me to mix my personality with like just do this. Like this is the topic. This is what you're gonna do. Like it's gonna be like, whoa, I don't know how to like mix it. And I would always be like, you're a run on. You're too much. Like stick to the topic. Don't. Yeah.
By the teacher or by my instructor, that I have fragments, run-ons. In fact, it's not your writing. It's what they want you to write. How they want you to write. I feel that you should be able to write how you want to. How it comes naturally to you.
Writing papers for
And
me,
embarrassing
and I
at
think for
first.
him including it is hard.
Because a lot of, it's hard and embarrassing at first when you're learning English.
Yeah, and that's the fear. some people
Because
do.
everybody's making
Like,
fun of
some
you
people-
and laughing at you. And
That's
like,
the one reason why I don't like reading a lot.
Yeah, because they used to laugh and they would all look at you and I don't know.
We've been through this experience and it's
It's hard
hard.
to put your ideas in paper. You know?
Yeah.
It's hard to express yourself. Because sometimes you got a bunch of ideas and you're like, oh yeah, I got a bunch of ideas. Maybe I don't know, but it's whenever you put it in the paper, it's just like two sentences.
Actually, until I got into this class, never knew that I even really had a voice of a writer, a writing voice, you know? And if I think about it, like throughout high school and reading literature and stuff like that, if I did have a voice, I wouldn't necessarily call it a voice. It was more like an echo, you know, because all I was doing was repeating what was said in the literature, you know. It was really hollow, nothing original about it, you know. So this is the first time I'm finding out that I even had a writing voice. It's more organic and it's easier, you know. I felt like back in high school and all that with assigned writing and stuff like that, I was forcing it out and wrestling with ideas more than I was actually understanding what I was writing, you know what I'm saying, and letting it my own ideas just go onto paper. It was more like a forced kind of counterfeit kind of deal, you know?
Yes.
There's nothing. So I find, now that I figured out, I do have a writing voice, it makes writing.
Can you like classify your writing voice or describe your writing voice at the beginning of this voice that you're discovering? What does it sound like?
It's honest, I'd say very abstract in a way that, take a situation and kind of, my perception on everything is kind of like deep. Like I want to take everything that I understand like to the root, and the way that I perceive things is kind of from a spiritual basis. So I'd have to say it's like abstract and somewhat spiritual and brutally honest. It's becoming natural. I mean, I don't know, because this is it. I've always felt like my writing and my voice two completely separate things, and so I've always felt like I was like in this box and I couldn't break out of this box of format and I don't know, certain what's the word I'm looking for, certain rhetoric or diction, and it always had to be described with this kind of detail and whatnot. So now that I'm kind of realize now after reading the book that like that box, I don't really have to write from this controlled space. I can actually be free and just self-expression, my own opinion. Be yourself, because you're gonna have to cut this, but when a writer writes in a specific way, style, boom, that's what it is. You have your own style. You have to respect that style.
Writing in a journal, just write about anything.
Mm-hmm.
The writing on the bones made me write, made me just even want to write even more every day.
Tell us to write our own voice. Make it it was the guideline, but then again, tell us to give us our opinion about it.
And so after we read the writing down the bones, how she said you have to trust yourself. Before, I never trust my writing. I would just have a hard time. I wouldn't want no one to read my writing besides the person that's grading it. Yeah. And ever since then, I'm just starting to trust myself. I'm starting to just whatever I feel. Yeah, whatever I feel like saying. I'm gonna say it.
And you'd be surprised, when you type and you type and you type and then you come back and you're like, oh damn, that sounds bomb. I sounded good right there. I have those moments. Really just put in your personality. Yes, follow what's required, but try to twist it a bit so it won't be as boring as majority of the essays or writing text that we have. Because I know we all dread it. Oh my god, the essay this long, it has to be this and that. Just to add a little personality in it, and then it'll be more funny and not funny and fun. And it'll be oh, it's actually interesting. Not let's follow this and that. Just to let go.
I would say just trust the process. It takes a while to find it. I'm still finding mine, but if there's a will, there's a way. So just keep doing it, and eventually it's going to become natural.
They just want us to succeed. They want us to be the best we can be, probably. But
the wrong way.
Yeah, in the hardest way. They make it difficult for us.
You guys are talkative. You
Yeah,
guys are really comfortable talking. So, what would your life be like if writing was as easy for you as talking is?
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I would be writing novels every day then. Right?